She hit a man with her vehicle. The unnamed victim was taken to the hospital where he later died. Police first called the scene around 1 a.m. The 32-year-old Shanielle Headswift of Fargo was under arrest for criminal vehicular homicide. Police believe the victim was walking home when Headswift hit him with her vehicle. Fargo police stating that Headswift was also under the influence of alcohol, and areas were blocked off, like we mentioned, for about a few hours, blocked up from 1 a.m. to about 6:15 a.m. So the scene is still under investigation. That is something that they still have undergoing, but like we said, behind us with 42nd Street, and as you can see behind us, traffic can still go through, but once we receive more information, we will update you with the latest.
Brian Sherrod reporting live on that breaking news. Thank you very much this morning. Now 6:48 on our Friday morning. Let's get a check of our Friday morning forecast. Being treated to a beautiful sunrise, but Lisa, you're kind of saying that the sun, it won't stick around all day for some folks.
Yeah, not all day. This morning things are looking pretty good for having a nice bright and pleasant start to the day, but things are changing for the second half of the day coming up here. So if you're doing some traveling, maybe heading out to your lake place this weekend, we've got some good weather this morning. I've got a yellow light for this afternoon around drive time at 5 o'clock because that's when we're going to see some increasing chances for some rain starting in the south. So be aware of that if you're going to hit the road here heading into this evening. One other thing I do want to mention, most of us have great conditions out there, but visibility in one spot is quite low. We're at a half-mile visibility in Gwinner, so some fog affecting us in that one location. Everywhere else, we've got a good start to our day here today with temperatures that are some of us in the 30s and other places into the 40s to start off this morning. So you'll still need that jacket. We're watching out for that rain. Here's a look at the latest radar and satellite map across the tri-state area. It's what's going on in South Dakota. You can see it moving northward, and eventually that system overall will transition eastward. So increasing chances for rain and even potentially some thunderstorms as this moves through as well, heading into the nighttime hours, especially for tonight. So again, it'll take its time, but eventually it does move in. For the kids out at the bus stop, this morning things are looking good. We're looking at some mostly sunny conditions. Temperatures again that are a bit cool, but not as chilly as we've been. We're looking at some temperatures into the 40s. And then heading into the afternoon, it depends on where you are. If you're in the very southern end of the valley, the clouds move in there first. So we may be around 60 for your high in the south. Up north, we'll be enjoying sunshine for most of the day. So we're looking at about 70, and in between somewhere in the 60s here. So in Fargo, Moorhead, we're looking at maybe some mid 60s around the time the bus is stopping and dropping off the kids, with some increasing clouds as well. After that, I'd say again around 4 or 5 o'clock, we'll start to see the rain approaching for us for tonight. Now heading into the weekend, Saturday, lingering areas of rain, especially in the south and east, and especially in the morning. We do have some clearing that'll happen in the evening, but it may not happen fast enough to warm up some of us. So it may end up being cool and gloomy in places like Lakes Country Saturday. Sunday will definitely be the nicer day for everyone in the valley. We're looking at mostly sunny skies and temperatures reaching about 70 for Sunday.
All right, Lisa, thank you very much this morning. We are looking live this morning now at the 9/11 Memorial in New York City. It looks like we're looking at Freedom Tower right now as the nation pauses to remember the lives lost on this day in 2001. It was 19 years ago that terrorists hijacked 4 commercial airliners and crashed 2 of them into the World Trade Center buildings in Lower Manhattan, 1 into the Pentagon in Washington, D.C., and another into the ground in Pennsylvania. Ceremonies in New York will start today with a moment of silence starting at 8:46 this morning, the time that the first plane hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center. U.S. Defense Secretary Mark Esper and Joint Chiefs Chair General Mark Milley will attend the memorial at the Pentagon. And this year, President Donald Trump will be at the Flight 93 Remembrance in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Ceremonies will be slightly different than in the past years due to the pandemic. An attorney for one of 4 former Minneapolis police officers charged in the death of George Floyd is highlighting Floyd's past crimes and history of drug use. Another argues that Floyd likely died from the fentanyl that he took rather than a police officer's knee on his neck. Court filings by defense attorneys in recent months are taking the blame a victim approach that experts say is a pretty common defense strategy. It's being used to counter a widely seen bystander video of Floyd's final minutes. The legal case against the officers heads to court today, with arguments over whether the officers should be tried together and whether that trial should be moved out of Minneapolis. There has been an outpouring of sadness, but also fond memories of a Moorhead man known for spreading Christmas cheer in the valley. 60-year-old Jim Frost, better known as the man in the red suit. He died Wednesday from injuries that he suffered in a motorcycle accident. Those who got to share Christmas with him say it's going to be a little less jolly without him. Those tributes, they continue on social media, where dozens are commenting about the impact that he left.
Every year he'd have a scarf or a hat for my kids, and it was even more special because inside he would put "Handmade with Love" by Santa Claus in the year, and my kids just love these hats.
A memorial for Frost will be set within the coming days. Bismarck Public Schools is sending its elementary students back to the classroom for in-person instruction 5 days a week. Now, the move applies to kindergarten through 5th grade. It will start on September 29th. In a letter to parents, the superintendent wrote that the decision is based on the low coronavirus numbers for students in Burleigh County and within the Bismarck Public Schools. Grades 6 through 12 will continue with the hybrid model for now, but officials are creating a plan for those students to return for face-to-face instruction as well. So let's take a look now at those COVID-19 numbers in the region. Minnesota reporting 389 new cases of COVID-19, 15 new deaths. More than 1,800 deaths are attributed to the disease. In North Dakota, 337 new cases and 3 new deaths. The death toll now sits at 160. The active case count is more than 2,300 and the daily positivity rate is now 5.4%. NDSU students and staff will be lining up for free COVID-19 testing tomorrow. It will run from 1 to 5 at the E-League Indoor Track Facility. That's 1625 14th Street North. No employee or student identification will be required. Federal regulators have cited Smithfield Foods for failing to protect employees from exposure to the coronavirus at the company's Sioux Falls plant, an early hotspot for viral infections that hobbled American meatpacking plants. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration found that employees were working closely together and exposed to the coronavirus. 4 workers died of COVID-19, nearly 1,300 were infected, 43 were hospitalized. Smithfield Foods says it plans to contest the citation and the $13,494 fine. Crews put out a fire at the Grandin, North Dakota grain elevator before it caused too much damage there. Now, they got the call late yesterday afternoon and they found trouble with a conveyor inside that building. No one was hurt by the fire. President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden will bring their presidential campaigns to Minnesota next Friday. The Trump campaign says the president will hold a rally at the Bemidji Airport September 18th at 4 in the afternoon. The Biden campaign says the when and where of his visit, that will be announced a little later. President Trump is trying to build his support in greater Minnesota and the outer suburbs, while Biden is counting on strong Democratic turnout in the Twin Cities and the inner suburbs. The University of Minnesota is now dumping some sports at the end of this school year to ease a financial crunch. School President Joan Gable says the athletics department projects a loss of $75 million because of the cancellation of fall sports, combined with the loss of revenue from the halted 2020 spring season. The university will discontinue men's indoor and outdoor track and field, men's gymnastics, and men's tennis at the completion of the 2020-2021 season. The university cites future sustainability issues, both financial and Title IX related, for why these cuts are being made. Division I men's and women's college hockey season are now being delayed. The NCHC Board of Directors is now aiming for the season to start on or after November 20th. That's 7 weeks after UND was originally scheduled to open its non-conference schedule. In-season practices will be able to begin under the NCAA rulings through new schedules, but an official start date, the number of games to be played, matchups, and other details will come at a later date. Mental health experts in the Midwest are warning of some serious trouble ahead for some people this winter. They say a combination of COVID crises, the presidential election, and a cold winter could lead to a spike in depression, anxiety, and suicides. Things that could help are safely interacting and staying connected with other people, checking in on people if you're worried about them, exposing yourself to sunlight, and setting some goals, maybe like trying a new activity, a hobby, or a project to keep your mind sharp. And remember that someday, this COVID crisis, it will end. If you or someone you know is struggling with suicidal thoughts and depression, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is available 24/7. Number on your screen, 1-800-273-8255. 8255. The COVID-19 pandemic has left many questions around Halloween this year. A lot of families are going forward with their normal traditions, while some events around the area they've already been canceled, like that haunted corn maze in Moorhead and trick-or-treating at West Acres Mall. But the haunted farm, it's going on as scheduled in Moorhead. This year, however, there will be some changes. Group sizes are limited and masks and social distancing will be required. Haunted Farm owner Mel Nygaard says they have been working with the county and state health departments to ensure that guests are safe. But he's excited to be able to welcome people back this year despite the pandemic.
I think we're even going to be more people this year because people are looking for something to do, something they can get out. And we're mostly outside, so we're in good shape.
The Haunted Farm is set to open on October 2nd. Matt Buss is asking for your input to help better the transit system. It comes after a series of investigative stories that Valley News Live did looking at hundreds of complaints regarding bus drivers. The riders that we spoke with say there is room for improvement, but they are currently satisfied with the service.
I think they're doing so great right now with everything being for free and stuff, but the only thing I would suggest would maybe be like a Sunday morning service or something.
I'd like more accurate bus times. Sometimes they don't always come with a scheduled time, and I always have to look at Google to see when they come by.
The deadline for the survey is September 28th. You can take it by finding this story on your VNL News app. Let's get the answer now to our question of the morning on Facebook. Here's today's question. The average person learned to do this at the age of 8. What is it? The answer is take a swim. Remember, you can play along every morning by heading to the Valley News Live Facebook page. That's where you'll find the question, and that's where we'll also post the answer. And on this Friday, we want to take a moment to remember all those lives that were lost in 9/11. I believe that we had a live shot at the Twin Towers where they once stood earlier, and this was rebuilt after that tragic day that many Americans lived through. It can be a difficult thing for younger people to understand what happened, so if they are in your life, we would encourage you to tell them about the tragedy that happened on this day and why we will never forget. The Today Show and CBS This Morning, they're just about to start, but the Valley today, it rolls on. More live up-to-the-minute news and weather coming up right now on the Fargo CW.